Okay, guys. All right, this is Mark Black, and here I am for our second seminar. This is Mark Black again, and this is the Promethean Studios summer music seminars. And this seminar is how to practice and how to perform. And so I, like an idiot, didn't say anything in the previous seminar. I should have said, hey, come to the next seminar. Duh. So, but everybody should have got an email that was a student anyway. And so in this seminar, the last seminar, just I'm talking about an hour ago, just ended 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, was about the top questions people ask, have asked in the last year, actually. And in this seminar, my gosh, I'm not going to be asking questions, but I am going to be discussing or presenting material, basically how to practice and then how to perform. And my gosh, this is the one where everybody should be asking questions. Darn it! And I should have, I don't know, somehow I should have said something more. But I'm saying in this seminar, you guys need to ask all the questions in the world. Every question you ever thought about asking needs to be asked in this seminar, because this is the word crucial. Crucial to the success of this seminar is the fact that well, that's wrong. I'm doing stuff on tennis. Crucial to the success of this seminar is people asking questions and getting their questions answered. I mean, like in a great way. Like this will be really useful if you ask your questions. So anyway, let's see here. So all right. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And again, we're starting the questions. How to practice, how to perform. And I really super do, if you guys have questions, ask questions, and to keep things alive. So let's look at this first statement here. And that is the two main things you do as a musician is practice and perform. So if you get better at those, then you'll be better as a musician, and that would be like a good thing, I think most people would say. So we want that to happen. That is, we want you and me and all of us to become better as musicians. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, look at that. It took a while to get up there on the screen. So anyway, I'm not going to keep this up. I'll put this up a few times. So anyway, the first thing we want to do is answer the question. And I hope I'm not being hokey. I'm not trying to be hokey, but sometimes I achieve hokiness, whether I intend to or not. But we're trying to figure out or discuss, look at the idea of, what it takes to become a good musician. So first off, looking at what is practice, and this sentence here, these sentences, and to think about this. Now, practice is creating, reviewing, and perfecting all the skills, everything that you want to do, to have, that you need to perform the music you love. So everything you don't have, you're creating. Everything you do have, you want to get better at, and perfecting all the things you want to have to make the music you love. That's your practice, and hopefully it's even more than you needed, because you want to be continually growing. Now, and that is not, look at that sentence at the end of that paragraph. It is not an amount of time. Your practice is not an amount of time. It's what you're doing to get good at what you're doing. So unless you're unusually skilled, now don't take this as negative. This is not negative. So unless you're an unusually skilled person, or you're performing all the time, or you're playing 6 to 12 hours a week, your practice, the time that you spend on your instrument or the voice, is where the reservoir of abilities, that's where you're going to do a song. Where are you getting the abilities to do this song from? Your practice time. And so it's the primary source for playing, and you want to make that practice excellent. You want to make it effective. You don't want to make it like, I'm not talking about, again, I said right there, it's not an amount of time. It's how well it reflects your what you want to do in music. So anyway, here's some things to think about. This is talking about your practice. You're working on stuff in your music. So we got to think about, what are your goals? How are you going to get there? And that's how much you should practice. So you like a difficult music. and you're on a difficult instrument, then you're going to have to practice more than a guy who likes a simple kind of music and he's on an easier instrument to play. So, and another idea is two people go in a room, two different rooms. Two people go in two different rooms, and they practice the same amount, and one person gets twice as much as the other person. And of course, we want to be the person that comes out and has learned twice as much. But how did they do that? Now, there's definitely for everybody there's factors of this guy's really smart, or this guy's really skilled, or this guy is, he's got great instruction. He's told very direct, or he's discovered really pointed. Wow, it's really effective. But whatever he's doing to get a lot out of his practice, that's what I want to find out and do. So, so now just as an overview, it is true that the stereotype is, I used the phrase stereotype, but the idea of a stereotype way to practice is the most effective. We just can't always do it. And here's the stereotype. The stereotype is you sit down, you spend 10 or 15 minutes on music theory, understanding how music works, working on rhythm, working on your ear training, working on sight reading, and that is an investment for the future, 10 or 15 minutes. Then you spend, say, 20 minutes on exercises. That is breaking down the things that you're going to do in your music into little, if I learn this scale, or learn this chord progression, or learn, how to hit these high notes or whatever, then that's going to, that is an present skill building. I'm building skills. They will be used immediately. It's not future, although it's going to get better and better in the future, but it's like I'm building skills for the present. And then I'm going to spend about 30 minutes working on my songs. And that is present performing. I got to practice performing, and I have to practice skill building. And if I could, I'd like to also, with theory and ear training and things like that, I'd like to invest in the future. Hey man, in a year I'm going to be so much better because I learned all this theory stuff. Or I learned to hear. I got, my ears are big. I got, as they say, big ears, and I can hear all kind of stuff. I can hear what the guy did. So that is the stereotype. That was an hour practice. That would be a good way to spend a great way to spend an hour practice. You can't always do that. So first thing here that we got to talk about, we're talking about practicing, and I'm watching the clock. Well, I'm a clock watcher. And so first thing I want to say about practicing is you have to manage, everybody has to manage your personality and your motivation, and they're very close to one another. And practicing is as much about managing your attitude and motivation as anything else. And that includes, like, you are a lazy slob and it's hard to get you to do stuff, but it also includes very, very earnest people who have, I gotta quit lessons because I don't have any money, or my mom is sick, and I have to go take care of it. Like I wasn't expecting this, and it's hitting me in my motivation. And it can be just as simple as, I personally, for example, do not like to do things the same way time after time after time. That really bothers me, and it makes me unmotivated because I don't want this. Oh, today I gotta again go to the same room and do the same thing again. It's like, can't we just take a film of it and play it back? Do I have to go do that again? So these are ideas for managing your attitude. One is is breaking your time up. Now, I'm not, again, the best thing is in a block. It's immersion. I've been doing this for 40 minutes. I'm gonna do 20 minutes more. I'm really all music in my head, But if you can't do that, or it's not motivating, you try breaking your time up. Try spending 10 minutes before you go to work, and 15 minutes right when you go to bed, and you work on your song right after you come home from work or come home from school. So anything that'll work, and you can, your work in music is indeed modular. Like I said, we had theory things, ear training things, and some of those things can be done without an instrument. We have exercises, and we have our songs. And I'm saying you could be like, well, I do my songs first thing in the morning, or something, even though that's not the best, but it's better than missing those things. So, and if you miss a day or two, which intentionally or unintentionally, just jump right back in. Don't be, I'm evil, beating yourself with the whip. Just jump right back in and say, man, everybody misses, and some people miss for really great reasons, and it doesn't matter, good reason, bad reason, just jump right back in. So sometimes when you don't have progress, it means you're fixing a difficult problem, and it may be hard to see that you are doing that. I'm just commenting. You're not making progress. Like, why is this not happening? It may be just because you are subconsciously, or as you work, fixing some really difficult problem. You can't really tell what it is. And don't worry about that. I mean, like, maybe that's what's happening. So, and just by the way, I've never had a large break where I had to sit out for a month, or sometimes I've sat out for years. I've never had a large break. I'm not encouraging this. I'm just commenting. I've never had a large break where there wasn't something that I was struggling with or focused on, it wasn't solved, and something, when I come back, it would have solved itself. And I don't know why that is. What I think it is that thing I was talking about, like you're kind of wrestling with something, trying to figure out how to get that thought process right, or get those fingers to relax, or whatever, to solidify that vocal technique to hit those notes. And then while I was not practicing, not doing anything, those things, something came together. It's always happened. It is not I think it would have come together quicker if I had kept playing, but it did nonetheless happen. So here's some other things about motivation and practicing. If you can manage it, if you can get yourself to do it, do the hard thing first. Like if you can manage it, do what you don't want to do first. I really hate doing so-and-so exercise. Try to do it first. Now, if it's going to keep you from practicing, don't do it. Either don't do it at all or do it last. That's an opposite idea. This is not opposite day, but an opposite idea is do what you like first. If you're really discouraged, do what you like first, so that you're like, cool, that was the kind of songs, man, that is why I'm here. And a lot of times that'll motivate you. When you can manage it, focus on your weakness. Go to the weak thing. Like, I don't do this too good. Let me see if I can get this. If you can manage it, there's a reason for proper technique, good technique. It builds and makes things easier for you. It's a long-term thing. It adds up. So a year from now, wow, look at me doing all this great stuff. In the short term, it's just aggravating, that I had to hold my guitar like this, or I had to stand like this or something. So if you can manage it, do good technique. If you can manage it, get yourself to do it. Grade yourself when you do your exercises and you do your song, and say, and I'm serious, if you can manage it. If you can't, don't. But, and if you're my student, I have exercise sheets that let you do this, and not the normal ones, the special ones. Well, special overcomer. Yes, you may be one of those. I'd be glad to show it to you or give it to you. So anyway, but great. So you would say, hey man, I did great on this scale, or this pattern, all these patterns. This is 3 days in a row. This is 3 weeks in a row. Look at that. They're all A's and excellent. So now it's time to move up, as opposed to just, hey, I think I'm doing that pretty good now. I guess I'll move up. And that's a great thing to do. If it doesn't seem like any fun, then don't do it. So, and in your practicing, you're thinking about, this is all about my muscle memory. You're practicing to build muscle skills and things to be easy to do. So you change your thinking from, I understand it, I need to understand it. And of course, I'm talking about, that's a little seed. I understand this, or I need to understand, it's a little seed. Change your thinking from, I have put my time in, about practicing. Change your thinking to, this feels natural and easy. You're doing an exercise, you're doing a part in a song that you love, until it feels natural and easy. You're counting a rhythm until it feels natural and easy. So you find when you're practicing, you find the right way to do something, and you do it until it feels natural and easy and inevitable, until the right way becomes the automatic way. It's just the way I do it. I'm talking about this correct little lick, instead of ba-ba-da, so go up there, and so that's fine. Even if I played it right, it was awkward. So I'm continuing with this about muscle memory. So you do it right, and then do it 7 more times. You're not done when you played it right one time, you idiot. that means that so you played it 27 times wrong and one time right. That means you have a, you know, 4% chance of doing it right in performance. So no, you're trying to turn that percentage around to no, sucker. When I do it, you know, it's 99.9% going to be right because I did it right, and then I did it multiple times right, and my hands say, "This is how we do it." My voice says, "This is how we do it." That's what it said. So here's some ideas about what to practice. You want to practice short-term and long-term skills. So if I see people on here. So if you guys right now, I want you to ask questions. I want you to make comments. But I really would like to know if you have any ideas about like long-term skills you want, short-term skills. So you want to identify something. And put that in the chat right now in the comments right there, right now. So these are things you would practice: short-term, long-term skills. If you got any ideas on these, I want you to put them in because I want to be able to respond to them. Short-term and long-term skills that you want, you practice those. You practice, secondly, things for speed, things to develop your speed. That includes vocal things. Maybe I'd be in tune even. Things for beauty, things that make your voice or your instrument beautiful, sound good. Things for control, that I have a mastery, a skill of overarching ability in my instrument, including the voice. So I can play in the altissimo register. I can do the growl. I can do tapping. I don't have to do that. It's just examples of things that are control and mastery of music. Number 5 is things that make music and my efforts in it easier, hopefully dramatically so. So that would be things like music theory, that would be things like ear training, that would be things like rhythm counting, meaning that, man, I'm getting better and better, not as some little dippy rhythm sheet, but when I go to hit this thing, it becomes easy to do instead of I can just barely hang on. So number 6 is things to practice, things that I hear a lot. I hear this all the time. Hear people doing this all the time. Well, I need to practice that or be able to do it. Number 7 is things I like a lot. I love this sound. How did he get that sound? How do I do that? How can I do that easily? Because I like it. And then things I do a lot. So I'm doing this a lot. I hear this a lot. I like this a lot. I'm called upon to do it a lot. So, I need to know these chords. I need to know this sound or this way of playing because I need to do it a lot. So then, technically or physically, how to practice. So you want to make it easy to practice. You want to have now look, I've gone both ways in the sense of having everything packed up and pretty, and my practice room is, cases and empty stands. And the problem is it takes 10 minutes to get ready to have a 15-minute practice session. So, so I'm telling you that I think you should leave your instrument out, leave your music out and I want you to have a good area where you can concentrate. I want you to this is how to practice. So immerse yourself in the little thing you're trying to fix. Here's this problem measure. It'd be better for you to fix a single problem every day. You're looking at this big song you're trying to play. It'd be better for you, a lot better. You would progress a lot quicker if you'd fix one of those things every day. Let's say your song had 20 problems, things you're messing up. You fixed one a day in 3 weeks. It's perfect. So it'd be better to fix one problem a day permanently than to kind of piddle with 10 and you didn't really fix any of them. They never really got fixed. So in your practicing, you need to concentrate. Pretend that you're making an album. Pretend this is real, and you keep concentrating like that. Like, I'm really going to concentrate, really going to focus. You keep doing that. That'll become the way that you do things, the way that you play, the way that you think. And how does that help you? It means that you play better. You sing better. So if you can't fix something, you're trying to fix something, an area, an exercise, a thing, and you can't fix it, then after a week or two of not fixing it, then devote the time that you were taking to do the thing to understanding why you had a problem. I remember back 30 years ago when I'd do these exercises really high, and I'd be going, ma, 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 ma. I'll do it harder. Ah, mm, 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 got high enough that I would crack that top note every single time. And I was like, why am I doing that? Why is that cracking? And it took me, I don't know, a couple of months to figure out what I was doing. I was supporting, da da da, I'd support da da da. And when I'd hit that top note, it's like the job is over. And I'd rip the air, I'd quit supporting. And that was what I was cracking. I quit supporting, passed to the rest of the notes. So it took me, I'll say a month. It took a month to figure out what, and I had to stop and not just go, what are we doing? But I had to go like, why is that? And it took me a while to figure out what it was. And you can do that with all your problems. Now, you have permanent permission to sound bad and to take a long time to improve. You're not a loser because you do that. We all starting at different places. We have different goals. Some of you are starting, some of you are starting really a lot of good things, and your goal is to play simple music, as an example. So you're going to get there real quick. And some of you don't have a lot of basic skills, and you want to play really hard music. That's going to take a long time. Don't be discouraged. And one great thing to do when you're practicing and you're working on music is to do active listening, which active listening is you're listening to the original. This can be instrumental or a vocal piece. Works the easiest on vocal pieces, but it would be anything. You're listening to the piece, and you are actively engaged, like you are fingering through it. You are in your head singing, but you're not making a sound. And what you're noticing is you're trying to get to where you are somewhat engaged with the song, to where you're noticing things. Oh, that was an F sharp. Oh, that was a quarter note. Oh, he slid up to them. He didn't just go, you're noticing things you would not otherwise notice if you're just listening. So if you're listening to a song, that's cool. Yeah, I like this song. Desafinado is pretty cool. It's not that, but you're engaged in it, and you're going to notice things, and that's going to sharpen up your version to the original to make them match better. And you are assimilating a lot of things. And then another good thing to do with your practice is any song that you're working on, whenever you can, is to work it up 15% faster than it goes. So if you were going to go, seriously, this is hard. It's not so hard to do, it's more aggravating. It's like I can do it at the right speed. But if you want to sound masterful, particularly if you're not practicing a lot, if you're not practicing, it doesn't have to be 2 hours a day, but if you're not practicing 2 hours a day, and therefore it's the mastery thing is going to be a while coming. A great thing to do, I'm working on this one song. I didn't practice on 300 songs. I'm practicing one song because I'm only practicing 4 hours a week. And so one way to make that song much, much better and sound masterful is, I'm going to work up sugar 15. So I'm not going to go sugar, yes please, won't you come and put it down on me. No, I'm going to work up sugar, yes please, won't you come and put it down on me. And for example, I would work that song up to, let's say if it's 120, I'm going to work it up to 140 or something. And then when I'm actually doing it, I'm not talking about doing it faster. When I'm doing it at the real speed, it will feel so comfortable to me, and it will sound to my listener very masterful. I'll sound like I can sing it faster because I can. So anyway, that's a great idea. Now, I hate to say this. I really hate to say this because everybody hates the metronome. But the metronome is your friend. He's my friend, and he'll stay my friend, the metronome. Metronome and musicians should be friends. That's from Oklahoma. So anyway, the metronome is a game changer. Every great musician uses the metronome. I'm sorry, it's just true. And when you've only got 5 minutes to practice, you're like, I better get the metronome out to make it a good 5 minutes. Now, what everybody does is set the metronome, they do it wrong. What you do not do this. You say, this song goes this fast, sugar. And you say, so you set the metronome to that speed, the speed it goes, but you can't play that fast. So all that's happening is you're playing in the room with the metronome. So quit doing that. Set the metronome for everything you do, exercises, songs, set the metronome at the speed you're doing it. So if I can only go sugar, that's all I can do. Yes, please. So I'm playing the guitar. That's all I can do. Playing the bass. That's all I can do. That's fine. What the metronome does when used properly is it's telling you, when I use these 2 fingers, they can't keep up with these other fingers because I'm holding everything to the same beat, the same speed. And, I'm really not hitting that note on time with my voice. And these 16th notes are not even. This measure is easy and I can play it because I'm holding measure 2 to the same standard as measure 3. Measure 3's measure 3's harder than measure 2. And what I was doing is playing measure 2 without the metronome. I played measure 2 at speed X. And when I got to measure 3, the harder measure, I slowed it down a little bit and I didn't even notice it. So they seem the same. So the metronome is showing you the places you need to fix. Now, if you hadn't played with a metronome, it might be hard at first because it's like someone bopping you on the head. Like, so it's basically, yes, please. So it's telling you you're going too fast, you're going too slow. The tempo ability it's giving you is good. That is, okay, I keep a steady tempo. That is not the reason. You keep a steady tempo and then it's revealed, I'm not doing this right because I can't play measure 17 the same speed I can play measure 18, the same quality. Now I'm following the metronome and the metronome's showing me. So the metronome is revealing your errors. You want it, helping you. So, and just by the way, if you're working on an exercise or a song, the beginning tempo, people are always asking me, what tempo do you want me to do that? I want you to do it, start thing X, at a speed that you are getting a C plus on. That is, it's hard enough at so-so speed that I get a C plus, a B minus. Not that great, not that bad. So here I'm playing an exercise. So that speed, I'm missing some notes. Some of it's not good. This is how fast to set this metronome. I want you to do it. So I got the metronome. It's a C plus, B minus. Not that good, not that bad. I stay there working, fixing my problems. It may be a day. It may be 3 weeks. It may be 2 months. Then I notice, hey, this is at an A. Hey, this is an A plus. This is pretty good. This is good. This is pretty accurate. Then I can bring the metronome up. How far to bring the metronome up? I bring it up to C plus, B minus, So some of the things we do, like an exercise, a great exercise, like let's say your blues patterns or blues scales, that's sort of open-ended. If I can play them at 200, I'd like to be able to play them at 220, So I just keep growing and growing and growing on that. And again, so the deal is I'm going from, this is a C plus, not that great, work it up till it's an A plus, bump the speed up, quality goes down, but the speed went up, work it till like that. So I'm just basically slowly jacking my abilities up by following that metronome. You want that. Now, metronome versus a drum machine. I know you're all asking the question. So you instead of beep, 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 the drum machine's going. So if you're having trouble working with the metronome, try the drum machine, because the drum machine is just something you download, put on your phone, something that's on, if you have an iPhone, it's on GarageBand. It needs to be where you can fix the speed. Speed's at 110, the speed's at 111, speed's at 115. But the drum machine pulls you in, and you want to do it. If he had a drum writer and he's going, I wouldn't just sit there going, you're just trying to make me play rhythm on time. We'd be like, yeah, that's cool. Let me get something and play with him. So when you hear a drum machine, it pulls you in. You want to do it. This is a good thing. Use that. If you can't, it is that much better to play with the metronome, because you have to be the dude projecting the rhythm, grabbing that metronome. The metronome is not pulling you in like a drum machine. So it's a little better to do it with the a metronome. But if you hate the metronome or you can't play with the metronome, try the drum machine. It's achieving almost exactly the same goal. All right, practicing a song. This is really good time. I'm almost done with the practice. We have how to practice, how to perform. Almost done with how to practice. So here's the wrong way. Now you guys need to listen to me, and if you're watching this video later, let me tell you, this is how, first I'm going to give you the instrumental way that everybody practices, which is wrong. And that is, you have a song, doesn't matter if it's a rock song or a classical song. You have a song, song X, and you start playing it. And you get to this place you can't play. I mean, it may, typically it'd be like 4 measures in. It's either complicated to play, or you can't switch chords quick enough, or you can't figure out the lick the guy's doing, or, if it's a classical piece, it's like, and so what you do is you piddle with that little, let's say it's a measure 5, you piddle with measure 5 that's wrong, and you try it, and it's kind of like, and you don't fix it. You play it maybe 4 times, try to fix it, but you didn't fix it, and then you go on, and you hit another problem like that at measure 10, and you piddle with it, and then you go on, and so 6, 8 places in the song, you had places that you could not do, you did not do them correctly, you spent, cumulatively 2 minutes piddling with them, didn't fix it, and you did not go straight through the song, and you did not fix any problems. The vocalist way of doing this is the vocalist sings through the song, notices all these problems, and doesn't do anything about them. Except kind of saying, hey, I didn't hit that note, or hey, I wonder what that lick was she did, because I couldn't hit it, So there's the vocalist wrong way to practice, which is just straight through. And of course, they're thinking with a track or something, so they never occurred to them. I'm not being rude. I'm a vocalist, man. I'm a vocalist. I was in the Loyal Chorale. Yeah. So anyway, so the point is the vocalist sings straight through, notices the problems, doesn't fix them. The instrumentalist piddles with the little problems, doesn't fix any of them. So they both spent, either the vocalist spends 4 minutes. If he had a problem, it's 4 minutes from, it's on measure 12. It's 4 minutes before he gets back around to measure 12 again. So how could he fix his problem? And the instrumentalist piddles with the problem in measure 11, but does not fix it. So here's the right way to practice everything you practice. First off, the first thing you do is you perform your song. Now, for the purposes of this example, now you all need to do this, it's just the part of the song that you can reasonably play right now without a lot of stops. So if it could be, depending on the song, if it was Kansas, Wayward Son, okay, there's a lot of got a lot of places in it. So that might be, let's say it's if we printed it all out, and I'm not talking about tabs, just there it is. Say you could do 2 pages of a 6-page song. I don't know how long it is. And that could be a classical piece, 3 pages, and classical piano piece. And it's like, okay, I can play with a good expectation, but not perfect, but a reasonable expectation of not stopping a page, let's say. And again, I gave the example of Wayward Son. You can play the first 2 pages. You can't play the last lick. So that is the song for you. It's not the full length of the song. It's what you could be reasonably expected to play without a lot of stops or a lot of errors. That C minus thing. It's like C plus. So this is your working definition for a song, your song. So first you play through your song, what you can play of the song so far. Now, if you do that one time, and as you're doing it, you're thinking about, oh, there's that place I can't play. And here's this other place, and you should have already, since this is what you've done, you should have already circled that, all these places, the 4 places you can't play in those 2 pages, or the 6 places, whatever it is, you circle it, arrow, and you're reminding yourself as you play through, like, oh yeah, I got to work on that. And it may be discover a new place. So there, one time through the song, either through a 4-minute song, yay, or 2 pages, whatever, the part you can reasonably do without expecting to make a mistake, and that might be 2 minutes or a minute, doesn't matter. So we spent 4 minutes, we'll say. Now what you're going to do is spend 60% of the rest of your time. Let's say we're going to practice on the song for 20 minutes. So a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, there's 18, I say 20 minutes. So there's now 16 minutes left, and now you're going to spend 8-10 minutes on fixing all those problems. Now let's say there weren't many, the parts you did, there weren't many problems, but you did them and you worked on them. Can you perfect them and they're done? I don't know. We'll see, but you're spending some time on there, a couple of minutes on this problem, a couple of minutes on this problem. Remember I said a minute ago, it'd be better to fix 1 problem every day than to piddle with 10 problems that you never really fix. So I fixed that problem on measure 4. I fixed that problem on measure 11. I still didn't get that thing fixed on measure 20. Now, again, this is still in that same thing. Now I'm going to play some more of this song and work on some more of this song. And every time I run into a place that a little bit of attention 2 or 3 or 4 times working on it doesn't fix, I'm going to circle it. I'm either going to work on it, try to fix it there. Definitely want it noted that tomorrow I got to come back and fix that. And so the point is, you are targeting your problems. If this is, this length of screen here is your this is your song, and there are 10 problems in here, you're going to those problems. When you go to the doctor and say, I'm having heart palpitations, he doesn't look at your toes. He doesn't doing an eye exam. And here's the problem: it's my heart, doc. And so you are going to the problems, fixing the problem. So you spend, like I said, run through the song, whatever you can do of it. Then you spend the majority of your time, I'm gonna call it 50%, 60% of your time working on the problems, trying to fix them, complete them. Meaning you do it right 5 to 7 times in a row. I did that problem correctly 5 to 7 times, and now I fixed that problem. It's not going to come back, I bet. And if it does, I'll be back here tomorrow to check it out. Now I'm going to perform my song 2 or 3 times. I got 8 minutes left. I'm making that up. Got 8 minutes left. I'm going to perform that song 2 times. I'm not going to stop. I'm practicing performing now. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to correct my problems. I'm performing. And so, as I said in the previous seminar, watching Wes Montgomery, Bill Evans, I didn't see Corey Wong make any mistakes. I'm trying to think of some other people I saw. Paul Desmond, making mistakes. And they don't bat an eye. They don't cry. They just keep on going. And that is what you should do. Because you just spent half of your time or more fixing your mistakes. You're going to get to those mistakes. But now you're practicing performing. Better for you that you kept on going, that you developed the ability to ignore those those mistakes shrink because you're used to continuing. And so the idea is what you practice perfecting things. And then you had the big overview, which is performing is continuing and not stopping, and the bottom line. So if I go, ain't no sunshine, she's my mom. It's not the one when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when you're gone, and this house just ain't no home. You've already forgotten that I said she's my mom. You've already forgotten that, and that's what performing. We're fixing to talk about it right now. Performing, how to perform, but performing is the big picture, warts and all, and we're going to carry it off or pull it off by not going to make mistakes, but we're also, if we made a mistake, we're going to just keep it going. I sang lyrics wrong. Everybody can go, you sing it wrong. But the effect of it was, wow, that's a pretty cool sound. So let's see. And when you perform that last time, those 2 times I said, perform your song at the end, going it all the way that you can go, which would grow every day until you could do the whole thing. You're performing as close to your ideal as possible. That's trying to be emotional, trying to be powerful, trying to do the dynamics as carefree as you possibly can. Okay, so that is everything I want to say about how to practice. For now, there's millions of other things to say, so I'm fixing to go to how to perform. If you got any questions about practicing, you need to put that right in the comments right now. Yeah, you do. Okay. I had some coffee. That feels good. Okay. Now the next thing is how to perform. How to perform, and this is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, so looking at this. And look at this. Performing is convincing. Now, this is the truth. You must accept this. You must accept this to be a great performer. So performing is convincing an audience as small as one, by which I mean yourself, down to convincing yourself that the music that you're making is real, it is interesting, it is worthwhile, it's unique, and it's necessary at the time of the performance. It's necessary. Man, I need to play this. This is cool. Performing is transporting the listener, which may also include the performer, into a creative cosmos of tenderness, power, fun, adoration, thoughtfulness, love, and tension. It is not playing correctly. Although the listener, for you to have a successful performance, the listener has got to be free of the fear of frequent damaging mistakes if they're to enter that performer's cosmos. So you're painting a cosmos. You're going like dun 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 dun. What is that saying? It's tough. Like I'm up in your face. The dude's painting a picture. He's saying this is tough. It's about Frankenstein. And it's like whoa, and we're like whoa. So we're painting his world. So I'm just commenting. It's not about being correct. It's about moving people into that world of whatever the song is about. it has to be reasonably free from mistakes. And I just got through saying everybody that I listened to in the last 3 days made mistakes, but the listener could not anticipate them, because not only did the guy not make a lot of mistakes, but he just ignored the mistakes like they didn't even happen. He didn't break the flow. So here we are. It's the performer's task to provide the beckoning cosmos, to provide this world. You as a performer, you're saying, here's this world. Come on and get into this. It's not the listener's job to enter it. So you got to be, as a performer, you got to be, you better shut your mouth because I'm talking about Shaft. It's like, this is so cool and so exciting that, golly, I really want to get into this. This is, I don't really like jazz, but this is so, I don't really like, bluegrass or whatever. This is so compelling. These guys are so tight, and man, those chords, it's like, it's pulling me in. So that's your job. And then the above ideas are what it takes to be a great performer. Up above, what I just got through saying. To be an amazing performer, you got to agree that performing is what you're doing. You're performing. So whenever you make music, you're performing, not being correct and not being free from errors. And I don't mean that, I'm not exalting errors. I'm saying, instead of thinking like, I played it correctly, you all heard people play and perform, and you thought that where it was correct, and you thought, okay, And you've heard other people that are doing stuff, and I like Garth Brooks fine. He's a marvelous performer is what I want to get at. I'm not anti him or pro him. It's just like, he's a great performer. And he's a great songwriter too, but nobody would say, wow, he's a great musician. Like, did you see that solo he did? Like they would for, Brad Paisley, who can play guitar really well. But I'm saying, here's Garth Brooks, and famous, super famous, more famous, in the 90s, super famous, great performer. And what I'm getting at is that we're not thinking, wow, that guy's a great instrumentalist or a great vocalist. We're thinking, man, if you go to one of his concerts, man, they're going to break guitars. And I hate that. But anyway, it's like so exciting, so dramatic. That's what you're trying to do. Not break a guitar, but you're saying this, like in that particular example, if you ever watched the Garth Brooks concerts, it's like, this is fun, or this is so deep, and whoa. And that's exactly the same thing if you go and watch Bartok's Concerto for Orchestra, my favorite version by the Philadelphia, Cleveland Orchestra. And what you're saying is you're being transported into the world that music is in. That's what your job is to transport the listener into that world, not to play correctly, not to be free from errors. Okay, so let's get rid of that picture. I don't know why that was there. So you got to agree and buy in. You must. Let me tell you, you can do this. You got to buy into music as a performing art. I don't mean that you're not cool unless you perform, but you didn't start lessons to play a pattern. You didn't start flute lessons so that you could play the C scale. You didn't start voice lessons so you could sing arpeggios. You sing arpeggios so you can sing amazing, compelling songs. You got to grab that, and you'd be like, wait, I want this to be cool. I want to love this. I want to love what I'm not. It wasn't too hard. I loved it. I mean, like, no, I want to be like, what I'm doing is cool. I always wanted to sing that song, and I am singing it, and I'm singing it good, And good does not, every note could be correct and it not be good. It's good when I am pulling audiences in, an audience of 1, an audience of 5, doesn't matter how many. I'm pulling those people into this song. It's like, man, this is amazing. So you got to admit it to yourself that it is a good thing. That's why to be a performer and to present the music, and people are gripped by it, and they're like, this is so gnarly, whoa, this is so happy, this is so pleasant, I'm gonna cry, how come you love me, all these kind of things, and it doesn't have to be emotional. You could totally describe all this as psychological, and I mean that in a good way. Like, you can say, it doesn't have to be. So if you're not emotional, which I'm actually not, then you're describing those things psychologically, and so, which is all fine. I'm saying, so you got to admit it's a good thing for people. You go to concerts, you buy albums because those are dramatic, exciting, powerful songs. You may not want to cry during them, but you do say, that is the finest. That is that, you're listening to, I'm gonna say the Taco Bell's canon at Taco Minor. Now Taco Bell's canon in C major. You're like, why am I? That is so. It's neat. It's neat. It's like a construction, and it's gripping you on some level beyond just I played all the notes correctly. So you got to accept that. You got to admit and determine that you need to, not could, maybe, but must become a powerful performer. Maybe not somebody who's they're breaking their guitars like I was talking about Garth Brooks, but convincing somebody that people want to hear. Even if you don't achieve it, your goal is that you would like to sit in your room and you're playing yourself and you're like, this is cool, this is amazing, this is excellent. This is approaching some of the things on my playlist. That is what you want. You got to accept that. It's the truth, whether you accept it or not. If you play mediocrely, perfect notes and so-so on the intensity, that's what comes out. It's a so-so on the intensity. Because the music, playing perfectly, is just the entrance. So here's some ideas. So you can become you can practice. You can say to yourself, I'm going to act like this. Now, I don't think this is the thing to do, but some people will say, I'm pretending to be Beethoven. I'm pretending to be, a famous, doesn't have to be a person, but, I'm showing off. I'm not really this, but lots of people who are famous do this. So I think being yourself is just fine, and being the idea of being your best, most confident self is what you should do. And I talked about this a little bit in the seminar earlier about stage fright. So, and then I said, this little part here is in that other seminar, is about feeding on the food of giants. Find your 4 favorite musicians that you love, and watch them. It'd be best if you watch them. Totally if this is classical, totally if this is jazz. Watch them perform. And one of them or 2 of them, you'll be like, I like the way that guy looks or that girl looks. Start emulating them, because that'll be close to what you think of as the right approach. And I'm not talking about dancing around on stage, although I don't mind if you do that. I'm just saying, so in Lord of the Rings, the real Lord of the Rings, which is a book, not a movie, but Pippin and Merry go off and stay with the Ent, and they eat Ent food, and they grow an extra foot or 2. I can't remember. I think they come up to about a normal person's size, so they grow a couple of feet. Anyway, the point is, if you eat the food of giants, you become a giant. So pay attention to what these giants are doing. Yes, musically, but in this case, I'm talking about performing and the engagement. You think of it like Yo-Yo Ma is a great player because he's so accurate. No, Yo-Yo Ma is a great player because he's passionate. And when you listen to him play, it's like, if you watch it, you're like, how is he just playing these notes? And if you watch tons of things that he would play, people would play, it's not like, oh my God, accurate. That's not what you're saying. You're saying to yourself, if you're a cellist, you're saying, I can play all that. That's not that hard to play, but somehow he's playing it in a way that makes me want to go buy his album. How is that? That's what you're trying to figure out, sucker. You're trying to say, I want to be like this giant, so I'm going to feed on the food of giants. I'm going to watch these guys play, and I'm going to try to pick up things from them. So, and like I said earlier about how to practice in the practicing session, once, and if possible, twice a day, when you play your song at the end of your practice, you're doing it with all your might, making it passionate. You're ignoring your mistakes because you're not practicing now. You're performing. You full bore. It's a classical piece. You do the crescendos. You do the dynamic, the articulations. The same thing for anybody. But I'm saying, depending on what you're playing, with the power, with the emotions, every part of it. Your vocalist, you're singing. I don't know, something about muddy waters. It's like you pour yourself into it, of whatever kind of music it is, and that becomes the norm to you. This is how I sing. This is how I perform. Powerful, exciting, dramatic, and then it's a stepping stone to the next level of drama, a power. And again, if I don't really identify with the word drama, I identify more with the word of power, and I'm talking about the intellectual / psychological descriptions of the same thing. It's the same thing. Some people will be thinking, I'm sad, and I might be thinking, well, I'm passionate or something. So talking about performing and being nervous. So almost 90% of people are affected by performing in front of people. I'm talking about how to deal with nerves and get over being nervous in terms of your performing. Like I said, about 90%. The extroverted people, which is about half, and there's various degrees of how much extroversion, how extroverted somebody is, and also how introverted somebody is. The rather extroverted people will get too excited, so excited that it's messing up their performance. Not that they're so afraid. So I'm just talking. So we need to fix that to be a good musician. So first off, try focusing on the music. Talking about how to calm down. Focus on the music, what you're playing, and think of it like I have to play this hard thing. Boy, it's so hard. Think of it like this is a part of this thing that needs to be played. Is a part of the music. This music needs to have this sound here. It's my bass part. It's my vocal harmony. It's my piano accompaniment, and the music needs to hear this sound. This is a part of this wonderful song. How cool this is. This is so neat to share this and to have this, and not think about can you do it, but think about it needs to happen, and I'm supplying it. Kind of ignoring the fact that you're the one supplying it. It's like this needs to be here. I'm going to get it done. This thing should be done. It should go right here, and it's not. And not think about how hard it is. Just when I get to this place, I want to hear this cool solo. When I get to this place, I want to hear this beautiful note. It needs to happen here. So, and then I've said in the previous thing, I'll just go and say it again, that at any time you get a chance, if you're in any degree shy, which again is, we'll say at least 65% of people are negatively affected by public performance. Every time you get a chance, you can tell them you saw it on a video, to play for anybody, you need to perform for that person, for a person. Say, hey, I saw in this video, I need to perform. Let me just play one song for you. I'm not arrogant or stuck up. It's just something I need to do. Try to get over being nervous. Let me play this. Let me get out my ukulele and play a song. So, and by the way, and you need to do this. And sometime after, from anywhere from your 100th to 500th performance, you'll start relaxing. So I'm serious. You need to get on the ball and get that done. And so we don't care what these people think. So you play for your neighbor and he goes, well, I guess I'm glad you're taking lessons, or whatever. You don't care what he says, because you're in a good way using him to kind of, God, guy's watching me. He's listening to me, and it's making you nervous, but you're still performing. You're still going for it. So, and if you had 10 people, like you had a home group, you had 10 people you could play for, don't play one time for 10 people. Play 10 times for one person. Say, hey, Jimmy, come over here and let me play this for you. And then next week, let me, I'm saying, grab people at work. So anyway, anything you can do to get multiple performances, multiple confrontations of, not negative confrontations, but I'm nervous, but I still need to perform. So Jim, would you mind listening to me? And then, as many times as you can, putting yourself in that situation, you will calm down. And I've said this before, but not on this set. But one of the best things that ever happened to me was for how many years? 4 years, 3 years. Every 5 times a week, I was playing in front of 1,000 people up on stage. Didn't matter if I messed up, forgot, took a bad solo. Next day I was there again. And so that was great. It was terrible at the time, but it was great when it's over, because it's like, well, if they're, upset with how I play, they really heard it this time, And so I'm not talking about a picture of defeat, but rather a perseverance in the face of difficulty. Okay, now let's see here. So this is talking about how you prepare a song to perform. So you're always going to sound best when you perform at the top of your ability, the top third of, here's your ability, the top third, this is in the top third of your ability, and it's an A or A plus performance. So I'm saying, as you're planning things, you're thinking, I want to do something that seems challenging, yet that I do well at. And so the person who tries something too hard for themselves, harder than what you're doing, but they don't do it well, you will come across better if you do your not as hard thing a little better. And why don't you see it? It's a scale. It's a flowing scale. It's not, he played at 120 and I played at 110, you know, it's that, 'cause comparatively speaking, I did better on what I attempted than what he did. Not trying to beat somebody, but just how do you sound great? So if before, 10 days before a performance, if it's this kind of gig where you have the time like that, you would, if you're not, here's the song, if you can't work your way up above it, like, oh, I'm doing an A plus, then you say, hey, about 10 days before, could be earlier, but you say, well, I'm not getting there quick enough, and you would dumb down the song to where it's the same thing. That means you might change the key, you might change the speed, you might do less of it. These are all practical things. The only reason that would be bad for you would be if you never went back and fixed it or never got better than that, and that became your modus operandi of I have problems and I don't fix them. If that's your norm, then yeah, you got a problem. Don't do that. But if you're just saying, hey, I was doing 3 songs, two of them were just great. One of them I was really going to mess that up. It was very iffy. So I made some changes to it to where it came out awesome. The people are there listening to you when you're performing. They're listening. They basically want to be entertained. They want to be like, this music is cool. This guy's cool. I'm not worried about him making mistakes. So all you're doing is correctly fulfilling what we all got on our cell phones. So that is performances we can enjoy and not, oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't make a mistake. So you should practice in your getting ready. You should practice your gestures, the things how you're gonna move on stage, if it's that kind of a thing, which depending on what you're doing is a very important part. Remember that when you're playing and singing, performing, you're communicating, unless it's an album or something, you're communicating to media. That is, we hear stuff, but we see stuff. So if you're over there singing, about how you love somebody, and you're like, I love you. If you're going like, ooh, 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 Jackie Blue, so it doesn't matter how good this sounds. If I look like I'm scared or look like I don't care, then I'm negating any good sound, and that would include very many, certainly jazz, and very many classical performances. So I need to look engaged. I can look intense, right? I can look like this is so serious, and again, I can't. There it is. I'll talk about that in a second. If you're a vocalist, you have to memorize your words. It'd be very good if instrumentalists did the same thing, but sometimes it's hard to do. So I'm going to just say again, I want you to practice your gestures. I want you to practice your things, and you could video yourself and say, hey, that looks really lame, or half of what I did looks great, but right there, that's very strange looking. I won't do that. And if it's either a set or if it's a song, you decide how you're going to do it for approximately 2 weeks before, and practice it that way. The repeats and the keys and all the changes you're going to make 10 days, 2 weeks early, so that you're comfortable with those things and that seems natural. And you want to make the big effort as early as you can. So I'm just saying, if you had a gig in a month, what you'd really like to do, I realize this is talking discipline, and I'm not trying to really talk about discipline per se, but it is, I'm saying it takes some attitude adjustment. It takes a little attitude adjustment to be like, boy, you'd have to be really broad, a lot of kinds of music to get all of my jugs. These are jugs, by the way, some of them. So in your adjustment, why did I say that? Oh yeah, about attitude. There you go. So the point is, yes, we're talking about discipline, but I'm saying if you had a month to your performance, it'd be better if you did all your big, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this, and working in the beginning, so that what you're practicing the last 2 weeks is not, I still can't do this and I still can't do that, but rather it's like, oh no, it's been in the bag for a week and I'm just rehearsing and getting better, not better, but more and more mature, more and more masterful on this same thing, because I decided 2 weeks ago on what to do and I'm doing it well, as opposed to I just couldn't make myself make the changes, and now it's 2 days before, now is when I'm doing these changes and noticing how bad it sounds. So do your changes early so that you can marinate in them and feel better with them. So when you're on stage, you're almost done. Although we have 15 minutes, because I'm such a alacrity speaker. And as I've said in the other seminar, I don't normally talk this fast. It's just to get through these things. I haven't, on the last one I had all these comments. I got no comments. I got these people who I guess are watching. They're like ninjas. I'm not really supposed to know they're there, but because they're not making any comments. But YouTube knows they're there. So, all right, now on stage, when you're performing for others, and twice a day in your own practice, you need to throw caution to the wind and go for it. You need to do it works right then, right at the moment. You need to not jettison your good technique and things like that, but it's like, I'm focused on making this a great performance, as if there's an audience here, and that's what I'm focused on. Now, in reality, and not throw caution to the wind, but throw 90% of caution to the wind. The way I see it is like, you're going for it, you're doing all these things, and there's a little antenna, a little monitor going, hey, you're remember, here comes that repeat. Hey, don't sing flat. Don't forget that lick. A little monitor there. But 90% is you just going for it. And like I said, you should be doing that daily so it becomes normal. It's natural. It's nothing for you to just, I'm really going for it now. And what does the listener perceive? That guy cares. That guy's into his song. That girl, that chick, man, she's wailing. And it's not just, don't think of that like, don't turn that into she was correct. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like she was going for it. I imagine, I certainly seen many, many, many people. I would assume that you had seen people that were not that good, but were really going for it. And that going for it can be like this. It's just totally, it's as if the person's saying, you just dropped dead because I'm singing this song and it's so sincere and so true. That's fine. All we're saying is you need to be convincing. So you need to look at your audience. Now, I just got through, was it today or yesterday, watching Bill Evans, a famous jazz pianist. He spent the whole thing like this. I don't know if you can see me. He didn't look at the audience at all. Should he have looked at the audience? No, he shouldn't have looked at the audience. So, of course, the sentence, look at the audience, would vary per instrument. Let's take the saxophone as an example. You would have guys like Dave Koz, who's playing like, hey, check it out. And other guys who are just playing like Paul Desmond is facing the audience, but he's not looking. He's like, I'm here. The point is the gig, the approach is convincing. Whatever that guy's doing, interacting with the audience, or it's like he's in his own world, it's like both of them are convincingly interacting with the audience. That's what you need to do. Most instruments, I would say, including the voice, about 70%. We have to set aside orchestral stuff. I don't want the string section looking at the audience. But let's say 70%, kind of estimating who's listening to this. You need to be looking at the audience, engaging the audience. But even if you can't look at the audience or shouldn't look at the audience, make the visual element of your performance confident and convincing would be a better word. So I wouldn't look at Paul Desmond going like this as confident, or Bill Evans, as confident, but it's convincing. It's like, man, he's into that. So I want to get in there with him because he's so exciting. So you want to look, this is true, look engaged, excited, moved by the music. This music is so cool that I just couldn't look at y'all because I was just all into it. That's fine. So if you're a vocalist, if you are looking at the crowd, just as a practical thing, imagine that this screen here is the stage area that you can see. So what you want to do is, here's your audience in this area. They, big audience can be everywhere, but you just pick 3 places, one on the right, one on the middle, one on the left, kind of in the about above head level in the body of the audience, if possible, where there's nobody there. And when you're singing, you just stare and you sing there for a while, and you're playing the sax, play here for a while, and then you go over and you play like this, like I'm playing for you, and you go like this and you play over there and you go back and just going back and forth, looking like, man, I'm really into it. You guys have seen all kind of concerts, and the guy will do like this and point. He's in the stadium with 30,000 people and he's pointing like, yeah, he'll go like, yeah, like as if he was saying, there you are, Jim, I'm glad you came. Except he's pointing at, little dots of people's heads that are half a mile away. So the point though, when you see that, you go like, that guy's engaged. He cares about his audience and stuff. So And it's good. That's not. It's fake in the sense that he really can't see those people, but it's real in the sense that it makes the people feel like this guy is singing to us. This girl is singing to us. So do that, and then if, like I said, preferable if there's nobody there, and you usually don't want to get really true eye contact. Just in the sense that you're staring at somebody singing to them and they yawn or they start talking on their phone and you kind of go, so we want to appear that you're confidently gazing at the audience. Don't frown. Don't apologize for mistakes. You make a mistake. Don't go like, I'm so bad about that. I'm trying to grow up. But so when you perform, you act like you're deaf. You can't hear your own mistakes. You don't even know there are. So you turn on the ability to keep going without reflection of mistake when you make a mistake. So that one mistake doesn't breed 15 more mistakes. You were nervous, you kind of, and then you hope I don't, here comes that hard part. And that's just starting to breed like a contagion, infecting, the rest of your song, the rest of your set. Don't do that. Just like, I don't care about the mistake. It's like you're deaf. And so when you're performing, act like you were doing it perfectly. Act like you're playing it perfectly and practice that every day, 2 times a day, through your piece. You're practicing, and if you make a mistake, you just ignore it. And you're trying to get good at that, really good. It just doesn't even happen. Then everybody else forgets. Remember I sang Ain't No Sunshine, You're My Mom. And by the time I got to wherever it was, time for the chorus, I know. When I got to that part, we'd kind of forgotten that I sang that thing wrong because I didn't acknowledge it. And honestly, by the time maybe 8 measures had gone by, it wasn't affecting me either. That is a wonderful skill. Now you know what to do when you make a mistake. I just ignore it. I'm not kidding. Now, if you're in the practice portion of your practice, like I'm fixing problems, then you be make a mistake, and then you have to assess. Just by the way, do I need to stop and fix this? I'm not talking about performing. I'm not performing. I'm in the practice possession part of my practice, my daily practice, and so I say, is that going to go away, or is that something I've been messing up a lot, or regularly, or sometimes that's happened? Then I would stop and I'd fix that, or I'd circle it. Say, when I come back, I'm going to fix that. But you need that practice portion of your that performance portion of your practice every day, to where you're used to ignoring mistakes. So everybody will forget that you made a mistake. And I've seen Christopher Parkening, who's a world famous American classical guitarist, make a complete mistake at the Dallas Symphony. And he didn't act like he did anything. He just kept going. And again, 10 seconds later, you're kind of going, did he do that? Because he didn't stop. So cut your losses, ignore your mistakes. So, and again, saying again now, always perform with drama and excitement and conviction. The listener wants that. Now, let's pretend for a moment that you're not learning, but you are a performer. You are, I don't care how great you are right now. I'm just saying, just say that you released a little indie album, and it's like you and some friends and you're all, this is going to work. It's just what I'm saying. It's not like a blockbuster, but you got a little album on there, a little 3, what do you call them? I can't think of what you call it. A little EP. There you go. A little EP, 3 songs. You release that. So what you want the people thinking is not, oh, that's so sweet. Listen to them. Isn't that sweet? You want them going like, this is cool. This is neat. That's such a sincere. I love listening to them. It's not the best mix thing I've ever heard, but that's really cool. Got a lot of cool lyrics, and they got, music's neat what they're trying to do. So the listener wants to be convinced by you that you got the goods. And doesn't mean you're the world's fastest player. It means that whatever you're trying to do musically, they want to be convinced you got it. You can do it. So it doesn't have to mean fast. It just means whatever you're trying to do, your best presentation to them is, I can really do this. So go for it. Convince us of your message. Don't hedge your bets, because you'll fail. We will not get the point. So act like you're the man. So there's a bunch. But if you're the rule in music is, if you're gonna make a mistake, make a big one. Make a big one, and that needs to be your attitude. And I'm not talking about changing your personality. I'm saying whatever your personality is, you're just saying, I want to do this right. I want to do this correctly. and well, then you're saying, I'm agreeing. I am agreeing with that. Yep, that's exactly what you do. You need to add to that. And if you did that well, correctly, then the audience gets excited and loves that. So you're playing. Let's say you're playing Chicago. I can't think of that. I don't know what this is. This is some whatever it is. So I'm saying it's all this intricate stuff. What's the point? Look at those guys. They can play the trumpet well. That's not the point. The point is they're playing intricate stuff. They're playing difficult stuff. This is exciting. This is dramatic. These guys are really powerful guys. And so you get what I'm saying is all that music is about the emotion / equal time power, convincing, doesn't have to be emotional, of the music. So, and the last thing, just as an example, an actor, when they go on stage, when they go on TV, they put makeup on. And I want you to wear makeup. No. An actor puts on makeup. And why? Because the light, the distance between that person and the audience, their features, they'll either be washed out or they can't see their features well. They can't see their eyebrows. So they put makeup on so we can see what they're really feeling from a distance. So there's a distance. I want you to think of it as there's a distance between you and your audience. It could be because it's online. It could be because it's a video. It could be because it's a recording. It could be because you're on a stage. It doesn't matter the distance, but there's a distance there. So you're overdoing things and exaggerating the emotion and the power and the drama and all these words that you love in your own music that you listen to. So we're exaggerating so that comes across to the listener. About a third of the IRF music students, it's not natural to be exaggerative. A person who exaggerates, I don't know what the adjective would be. Exaggeratory? Somebody let me know what that is. So at least a third of people, it's not natural to exaggerate like that, which is totally fine, exactly as it should be. But then as musicians, you say, well, I don't feel like this. I feel like this, but I'm going to exaggerate it so that the listener ends up thinking, that was great. I'm so glad I listened to that. It was so powerful. Okay, so that is both parts of this seminar, how to practice and how to perform. Now, listen, you guys, nobody asked a single question. Nobody said nothing. So I just like to say I'd like somebody to say something, but nobody did. So I'm Mark Black. This is the Promethean Studio Summer Music Seminar, and this particular seminar is how to practice and how to perform. And this is on Mark Teaches Music channel. And every Tuesday at 7:45 we have an improv workshop where we improvise, go back and forth. And I can't hear you, right? So I'll play and then you play all kind of different music. Really, seriously, a lot of different kind of music. So you're invited to that. It's on the same Mark Teaches Music. And if I'm looking here, I don't see any other questions. If anybody has any questions, drop it in here. But if you have a question after the Zoe, which will be just a minute or two, send me an email at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com, including questions about taking lessons. And if you're my student, ask all the questions you want in your lesson. And otherwise, I think we'll be done. I appreciate you coming. Hope you have a wonderful, it's not a weekend, a wonderful week coming up. And hope to hear from you and see you soon. Bye-bye. And I got to push this button too. And